The women who are the most magnetic are never working at it. They are not running a strategy. They are simply so fully themselves, so rooted in their own world that the pull is a byproduct, an inevitability, something that happens around them rather than something they produce. Seduction in its truest form is not what you do, it is what and who you are. And today, we are going to get into exactly what that means. Seduction is the process of creating psychological, emotional, energetic, intellectual, or physical pull toward yourself through tension, curiosity, desire, anticipation, projection, and emotional stimulation. Not manipulation, not deception, not solely tied to romance. Seduction is a pull, and pull can be created in any direction, in any room, in any area of life, which means everything you thought you knew about what seduction is and who it is for needs to be expanded. Seduction is not manipulation. It is not a game. It is not the strategic deployment of feminine charm to get a specific outcome from a specific person. That is insecurity dressed up in strategy. And it always has an expiry date because it requires constant maintenance. The moment you stop performing, the illusion collapses. Real seduction is the natural magnetism of a woman who is fully herself. It is what happens when a woman is so aligned with her own identity, so invested in her own world, so genuinely present in her own life that her existence becomes compelling without any effort on her part. It is not something she does. It is something she has built, and it shows up everywhere she goes. Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction is historically rich, and there are things in it worth understanding. But before you take it as a guide to feminine power, you need to understand what it actually is. It is a book written by a man, studied through a male gaze, about how women have historically been observed to attract and influence men. Every female archetype Greene identifies, the siren, the coquette, the natural, the ideal lover, is defined by her effect on men. Her power is measured by male response. Her seduction is successful when a man is destabilized, obsessed, conquered. The framework places women's magnetism entirely in relation to men, rather than locating it within women themselves. This is a fundamental problem. It means the entire book is teaching women to be seductive for an audience, rather than from an identity. It is outward facing. It is about impact on others rather than cultivation of self. And that framing, however sophisticated it appears, is still rooted in the same conditioning that has always told women their power is defined by how men respond to them. Greene also glamorizes manipulation as strategy. Seduction in the book is frequently a form of control, getting inside someone's psychology to steer their behavior toward what you want. For women, this is a short game with a long cost. It creates dynamics built on performance rather than reality. And it requires a version of yourself that has to keep performing to maintain what it built. The most powerful thing a woman can take from Greene is the historical evidence of what genuine feminine presence does to a room. Not the tactics, the presence. The rest needs to be read critically. Performance is any moment where you are more focused on how you are being perceived than on who you actually are. The slightly adjusted version of yourself that appears in rooms full of people you want to impress. The edited laugh, the managed responses, the careful calibration of how much of yourself to reveal and when. The continuous background monitoring of how you are landing. People cannot always name what they are sensing when they encounter a woman who is performing, but they feel it. There is a quality of effort to her, a subtle tension, a sense that what you are receiving is a constructed version of a person rather than the person herself. And that effort, that visible trying, is seduction's greatest enemy. The woman who has forgotten to watch herself is always more compelling than the woman who is watching herself very carefully. Performance has a sibling that is even more destructive: desperation. Desperation and seduction are opposites. Desperation is the energy of a woman who needs something from you: your attention, your validation, your approval, your choice of her. It communicates scarcity. I do not have enough. I am not enough. I need this to feel okay. People feel that need the moment they enter the room with her. It does not matter how beautiful she is, how well dressed, how strategically she has positioned herself. The energy underneath everything cancels it all out. Seduction is the energy of a woman who does not need anything from you. She is complete. She has a full sense of self, a relationship with her own worth that does not require your confirmation. And that completeness, that absence of need, is what makes people want to give her everything. The book teaches you to manufacture both the performance and the appearance of not needing. But you cannot manufacture something that people feel at an energetic level. Either you are complete or you are performing completion. And everyone in the room already knows which one you are. A woman who is truly aligned with herself does not switch the magnetism on for certain people in certain rooms and leave it at the door everywhere else. It is not a mode she enters, it is who she is. And it shows up in every context she operates in. In professional spaces, it looks like the woman whose presence in a meeting shifts the quality of the conversation, who does not need to be the loudest voice to be the most listened to, who commands attention without demanding it because what she brings to the room is so clearly of value that people orient toward her naturally. Her confidence is not performed authority. It is the quiet certainty of a woman who knows what she knows and does not need anyone to validate it before she offers it. In creative work, it looks like the artist, the writer, the builder whose work carries a signature that is unmistakably theirs, who is not making work for approval, but from compulsion. There is an intimacy to work made from genuine inner necessity that work made for an audience can never replicate. People feel the difference. In friendships, it looks like the woman people call when something real has happened, who actually listens rather than waiting to respond, who brings her full attention to the people she chooses to invest in, whose loyalty, when given, is absolute. That selectivity, that quality of full presence when she gives it, is magnetic in the deepest sense. The common thread across all of it is alignment. She is the same woman in every room. Her values, her presence, her sense of self do not shift depending on who she is trying to impress. That consistency, that integrity of self, is what people are actually responding to when they call a woman magnetic. They are encountering someone who is completely real. And real, in a world full of performance, is the most seductive thing there is. Greene's model of seduction is fundamentally a model of manipulation. The siren destabilizes. The coquette withholds to create obsession. The ideal lover mirrors what you want to see until you are too deep to leave. These are not expressions of genuine power. They are tactics. And tactics have a specific problem. They require constant maintenance. The moment you stop running the strategy, the dynamic collapses. Because it was never built on anything real. Women who scheme their way into rooms, relationships, and outcomes attract things that are equally unstable. You manipulate someone into wanting you, and you spend the rest of the relationship managing the performance that produced the attraction. You cannot relax. You cannot be fully yourself. You are perpetually one unguarded moment away from the whole thing unraveling, and beyond the exhaustion of it. It's short-sighted. Manipulation is a short game dressed up as strategy. It might work in the room, but it rarely survives the year. I am not saying that women should be naive, that moving through the world without understanding how it actually works is somehow more authentic. A woman who is strategic, who understands power dynamics, who reads rooms, who knows when to speak and when to stay silent, who is deliberate about who she trusts and what she reveals is not manipulative. There is a difference. The difference is the foundation. Strategy built on who you genuinely are compounds over time. Tactics built on performance eventually collapse under their own weight. Real magnetism is either in you or it is being built in you. It is not something you borrow from a playbook. Manipulation has a ceiling. Charisma does not. There is no shortcut and there is no playbook. Genuine magnetism is not built by following a list of behaviors. It is built by doing the actual work of becoming a woman who is so fully herself that performing becomes unnecessary. Here is what to do. Redirect the energy you spend on being perceived into actually becoming. Every hour spent thinking about how you are coming across is an hour not spent building the internal world, the life, the depth that produces magnetism naturally. The shift is from outward to inward, from how do I appear to who am I actually becoming. It requires dismantling years of conditioning that told you your primary project was being attractive to others. Build a relationship with your own desire. Know what you want. Move toward it without apologizing for it. Stop waiting for permission to want what you want or validation that your wanting is appropriate before you will acknowledge it. A woman who is comfortable with her own desire, openly without drama, is genuinely rare, and rare is always compelling. Develop depth that cannot be exhausted. Read things that challenge you. Form opinions you can defend. Build expertise in the things that matter to you. Have a relationship with your own mind that is rich enough that a conversation with you is an encounter with a whole new world. The most seductive women are always the most genuinely interesting ones. Interesting is built. It is the product of a woman who takes her own intellectual and creative life seriously. Become the same woman in every room. The alignment that makes a woman magnetic is not achieved in specific contexts. It is built through the daily practice of showing up as yourself consistently, regardless of who is watching or what they might think. Every time you perform a version of yourself rather than being her, you widen the gap between who you are and who you are becoming. Here is what I want to leave you with. Who are you when you stop trying to attract and start simply existing? Where in your life are you still running Greene's playbook? Still withholding to create need? Still mirroring to be liked? Still performing a version of yourself that you think is more palatable than the real one? And what does that actually cost you? Seduction is not manipulation. It is not tactics. It is not romance. It is the natural pull of a woman who is so rooted in her own world, her own purpose, her own pleasure, that people are drawn to her without any effort on her part. That is not a technique. That is an identity. And it is available to any woman who is willing to do the work of becoming. Stop performing. Start becoming. I'll see you in the next one.